The Lorna M. Johnson Global Enterprises are rooted in equality and justice. We are committed to exploring innovative, non-traditional modalities and approaches to positively shift cultural norms relating to bias, hate, and disparities. Thank you for joining us today as we discuss the fierce urgency of this moment, a great moment of healing communications between friends and uniting us within race, culture, faith, media, and politics. We must be the change we seek. In the spirit of my hero and friend, the late great John Lewis, aka the soul of the nation, we have work to do towards that more perfect union and a better us. Get into good trouble, he would tell us, by following the compass of love for one another. Open our hearts and inspire the best in each of us, eliminating the virus of bigotry and confusion. Responding to the call of our moral compass for a more perfect union, I ask each and every one of you to join me in uniting your world, my world, our world, by sharing your uniting ideas at Live with Lorna. The future is in your hands. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are around the globe. Welcome to the Lorna M. Johnson Global Enterprises Virtual Town Hall. You know what to do. Host a Facebook party, share with family and friends, and most importantly, let us know your thoughts in the comments section. Thank you so much for tuning in to Live with Lorna as we celebrate women's achievements, resilience, and strength. We will also highlight inequities and injustice women and children are enduring around the globe and right here at home. It's Women's History Month, and we celebrate our unique and extraordinary selves because we are truly phenomenal. You've heard that from world-renowned poet Maya Angelou, but it's not just because we birth life and existence into being. It is because we dare to go further, even when we are told to go back. Yes, I'm speaking about Claudette Colvin, the first Black woman to refuse to give up her seat on a bus, inspiring Rosa Parks, the most well-known for the Montgomery bus boycott. If you didn't know that, consider these are the little-known facts. We are the architects, like Marion Mahoney Griffin, who was the first employee of Frank Lloyd Wright, and not credited for her work. She was one of the first licensed female architects in the world. We are performers, like the incomparable Beyoncé, breaking and setting Grammy records with 28 Grammys to her name, the most wins by a female artist. She is not just beautiful and talented, she's also a philanthropist who uses her platform to lift up people of color and fight for racial justice. And with her Black is King album, she presented a little phenomenal woman in the making, daughter, Blue Ivy, winning her first Grammy and being the second youngest child to win at the tender age of 9. And speaking of Grammy, Black women had a record-breaking year at the Grammys this year, taking home awards in the biggest categories. Tiffany Haddish won her first award in a category that hasn't been won by a Black woman since Whoopi Goldberg in 1986. And only 4 women ever. That to me was Black magic. We are the creators. We are creating, fighting for equality, and practicing our craft. Artist Lane, my friend, sculptor and artist, whose work you can see in the capital of Sojourner Truth. International artist Frida Kahlo, an icon for the Latinx community, the feminist, and the LGBT movements. Dancer Misty Copeland, who is the ballerina little black girl's dream of being. And actors Diane Carroll, Halle Berry, Angela Bassett, and Lynn Whitfield, all strong in their crafts, creating art forms that we enjoy. And there are our legendary curators of songs, who not only wrote the songs, but also demanded respect. Aretha Franklin, Diana Ross, and Dionne Warwick. This is what phenomenal looks like. Even when we enter with controversies, yes, I'm talking about the Oprah and Duchess Meghan Markle's, oops, oh no, did I say Duchess? I meant Meghan Markle's interview. Can you believe the rumor that Meghan had made Kate cry? Does a flat pancake have two sides? Didn't they flip that script? Questioning the color of her son's skin, dropping both Meghan, Harry, and their children's title? None of these things keep a woman down, because in the end, we are phenomenal women. My heart pains when I think about what Meghan must have been going through, and I'm happy Meghan made it out safely. Meghan, if you ever need a nurse midwife to deliver your baby in the comfort and safety of your own home, call me. I'm here for you. And Harry, one love. By the way, if you would like to do a 100-meter dash challenge or need some new Jamaican reggae vibes, call me. We see how you stand by your woman. Just as your mother stood by you, we will never forget her. The late, great, and beautiful Princess Diana. Again, a phenomenal woman. Women lights up the sky as mathematicians send in rockets to the moon like Katherine Johnson, Dorothy Vaughan, and Mary Jackson, as portrayed in the film Hidden Figures. And we have come this far by helping each other through turbulent times and standing on the shoulders of powerful women like Harriet Tubman, Sojourner Truth, Shirley Chisholm, and Barbara Jordan. It takes a strong woman like Hillary Rodham Clinton to let the world know, from her speech in Beijing in 1995, women's rights are human rights, and human rights are women's rights, once and for all. Just when you think we may have done it all, a worldwide pandemic demands the need for a solution, and it is Dr. Kizzmekia Corbett, a woman who provides the science necessary to bring forth a vaccine. I'm armed and ready. I got my shot. Black, beautiful, and vaccinated. Are you? Who runs the world? They say girls. Just know that those girls become women to celebrate and love. There are so many women from every walk of life that we could talk about. Eunice Shriver, creating Special Olympics. Jackie Joyner-Kersee and FloJo, record-breaking Olympians. And did you know that I qualified for the Olympics in the 100-meter dash, clocking 11.4 seconds. And my fastest time in the 200 meters at 23.6 seconds was against Flo Jo. What do you think happened? Yes, she dusted me. It was the year she set the record in the 100-meter dash that will never be broken by a woman in our lifetime at 10.49 seconds. But then again, as our former First Lady Michelle Obama notes, we are evolutionary and becoming. We are flipping the script one story at a time. And speaking of flipping the script, or flipping, how about our gymnast, Gabby Douglas and Simone Biles? Phenomenal. Have you seen Naya Dennis? She is someone to watch out for. Oh my God. There is no way to recognize every phenomenal woman in one introduction. But I can salute them through representing examples of every woman with extraordinary making ability. They are still here fighting, stirring up the pot, and rebel rousing for justice, freedom, and equity, so that the glass ceiling continues to crack until it's shattered. Today, our guests are perfect representative of these women who we continue to stand with. They have achieved great feats and overcome insurmountable challenges. Extraordinary women doing extraordinary things. They can do this because, well, they are women. That's right. So then, our first phenom is no stranger to debating, negotiating, and navigating her way to win equity for all. Congresswoman Barbara Lee. Congresswoman Lee is an American patriot and progressive superhero. Since 1998, she has been on the front line of the fight for democracy, representing the people of the 13th District of California. She's the highest ranking Black woman in Congress. Ladies and gentlemen, my friend and mentor, Congresswoman Barbara Lee. Welcome to Live with Lorna.
Well, I'm happy to be with you again, live with my friend and colleague and someone who a lot of people look up to. You're a woman of all seasons.
Oh my goodness.
Glad to be with you during this season.
Oh my goodness. I'm just trying to be like you when I grow up.
No, okay. You don't want that.
So you have been in Congress for quite some time, Congresswoman, serving in several committees and is also a chair of many committees. Now you are in the position referred to as Cardinal because of its importance. Tell us a little bit about the significance of this Cardinal title.
Sure, Lorna. And that Cardinal title, sometimes it trips me out. You know, I was raised a Catholic, and next to Cardinal is the Pope, right? So I'd rather be subcommittee chair of the State and Foreign Operations Subcommittee, which is a very important committee of the Appropriations Committee. And we fund all of our international development and diplomatic initiatives. U.S. embassies, we support USAID, we fund USAID, we fund all of our global health initiatives, all of our education initiatives, agricultural development, everything that's non-military everywhere in the world. So it's a wonderful opportunity. There's never been an African-American woman chairing that subcommittee. So of course, you know, I'm reimagining what we can do in our foreign assistance and development assistance. And of course, making sure that Africa and the Caribbean receive the priority focus that these countries deserve, because it's been quite an uphill battle, of course, as you know, especially since Donald Trump was in, calling the continent of Africa, the countries in Africa, S-hole countries. So we're going to do some great work. We're going to keep the committee as bipartisan as we can keep it, but we have to do the right thing now in the developing world, because we have to repair the damage of the last 40 years. And who better to do it than people of color, than our subcommittee, where we have the opportunity to show that we know how to respect countries and how to have dialogue with countries and how to be partners in countries in their development initiatives.
Man, I think that's a perfect position for you, because you were once ambassador to Ghana, and you're also the Queen Mother of Ghana, of which I was crowned last year too. So there we go, Queen Mother. So we have a lot in common there, and I think you're just in the right place at the right time. So it's great to have you. So this also
Lorna, I
brings.
wasn't ambassador to Ghana. Now let me clarify that.
Oh, you weren't? Oh, you were just Queen
No,
Mother.
Queen Mother though, Nana, yes, which I'm
Okay,
proud of,
great.
Otuam, but not the ambassador.
Okay, great. Okay, good. This also takes me to a very interesting and important part of the questioning that we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about voter suppression. We're going to talk about the stimulus, and we're going to be talking about the vaccinations. We talked about you being the cardinal is a very important position. And in some traditions, they say the female cardinal is the energy creator, bringing good fortune. So tell us about the good fortune that this stimulus package have for women. It's Women's History Month. So what does this stimulus package have for women, people of color, and small businesses?
Sure. Well, Lorna, women have disproportionately been impacted by this devastating, deadly virus in terms of unemployment, in terms of disproportionately being impacted by the disease, the pandemic, dying, getting the virus. And we are disproportionately reflected in the workforce in terms of essential workers. And so what we did in this stimulus package was make sure that essential workers, of course, were seen, and put funding where we say to you, essential workers who are primarily women, we see you, we recognize you, we know we have to help you protect yourselves, and we respect your providing these essential services. So we did that. We added the $1,400 direct cash assistance, which a lot of single mothers, a lot of women need, who are raising kids, and they lost their jobs, they're home, they're juggling. It's not enough $1,400 one-time payment, because I've been supporting $2,000 a month until the end of the pandemic. So I'm still fighting for that. Enhanced unemployment insurance, and so we did a lot, and we targeted funding for minority communities, communities of color, which have been most heavily impacted by the virus. And finally, to say we increased the child tax credit, which means that about 50% of children living below the poverty line will now be lifted out of poverty. But we have to make this permanent. But again, a lot of these children are children of African American women, Latinx, API women who are single mothers and who need this kind of cash benefit. And so we did a heck of a lot. Great first time, but we've got to keep going. We've got to make the child tax credit permanent, and we have to do more. But I'm really proud of the $1.9 trillion that we all put together and what it reflects in terms of priorities for women.
That's awesome. Well, you answer a lot of my question, because I was, one of the questions I had for you was, do we think it's sufficient? So I'm glad, and I know that you're fighting for more. What about, it's a lot for people to take in. So give me an example of what does it look like for, say, like a family of four? What should one expect to get? And of course, we know the line is what, $75,000 for a single, or
for a single, and $100,000 for a couple. Yeah,
for a family of four. What can one expect to get?
So it's not only just for an individual. The cash payment, there's a certain amount. I believe it's $1,400 for each child also. And in addition to that, for a family who's eligible, are eligible for the child tax credit, that's an additional $300 to $400 a month. And so you're looking at a family of four, possibly $4,000 or $5,000 right away that really could help their economic existence right now, because people's livelihoods are at stake, and their lives. And so we're looking at also an increase for SNAP benefits, food stamps, and for food banks, because so many women and so many people of color who lost their jobs were middle income or working people and never had to rely on government assistance. Well, we had to provide that, and we did in this latest bill. So people who don't have a job, who are eligible for additional relief in terms of food assistance, in terms of food security, which in America, we shouldn't have one person hungry. We shouldn't have to have food lines and food banks. We do. And so we put additional resources in those budgets within our Department of Agriculture and all of our accounts for food.
That's awesome. And I think another thing that you have in there that I thought was very impactful and very touching for me was the bereavement for $7,000 in the package for people that have lost loved ones to COVID. I thought that was very sensitive.
And that was, Lorna, that was in the last package we did, not in this one. That was in the one we did in November. And I worked with AOC and Senator Schumer. And it's a FEMA reimbursement up to $7,000 because so many people have lost loved ones and without having a paycheck, having huge healthcare expenses and funeral expenses, we had to do something. And so I was glad we were able to get the support to do that. But that was back in December. The regulations now are just being put out now. But thank you for raising that, because I hope people who are watching and listening will let people know that there's a little bit of assistance to help them through these very tragic times for them.
Absolutely. Because it's, as you said, it's not even enough. Most people have already spent the money paying back what they were behind on before they even got the money. And speaking about being behind, we seem to be going back to the Jim Crow laws where we can't even give water to an elderly person waiting in line to exercise their right to vote. And what about, people that, going to the polls? We're talking about taking away all that. What can we do as a people to make sure that we don't turn the clock back, especially on those issues like going to the polls, which was like a part of our fabric, of our religion? Can we claim that as a part of our religious rights?
Well, let me say, they certainly are part of our democratic rights, and we fought. People died just for the right to vote, and African Americans especially. Look, I remember when there were before the Voting Rights Act passed. I come from El Paso, Texas. I know what that's about, and I know right now they're trying to turn the clock back to the days of Jim Crow, and this is a dangerous moment because they're trying to take away our right to vote by these voter suppression laws, and they're targeted to African Americans. And so, souls to the polls, for example, and like you said, bringing a snack or something to drink while you're waiting in line. Well, that's inhumane and it's wrong, but it shows you that white supremacy in America is alive and well. And so we have to do two things. First, we have to fight back and organize in the streets, and we have to make sure that your members of Congress and California, we're all good. But around the country, except for the Republicans, of course, but around the country, we have to make sure that HR 1 passes the Senate, which reaffirms much of our voting rights and gets money out of politics in terms of campaign finance reform. And then HR 4, the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, the John R. Lewis Voting Rights Act, because that bill needs to get off of the floor of the House now and into the Senate, and hopefully we can get it to the president to sign, because we have to have national standards for voting rights, because you see what these states are doing, 250, 300 laws being passed now to suppress the vote. So it's only going to be like it has been in the past, the federal government that will protect the rights of minorities. We're back there now. And the additional nexus where we are now to voter suppression is we're on the brink in terms of democracy. I was talking with Secretary Madeleine Albright, and she wrote a book about fascism, the signs of fascism. So we're right there. We're right there. And for those who don't understand, go back and read about the things about Mussolini and Hitler and what took place. The signs are all here. And Secretary Albright laid them out very well in her book. And just know, with voter suppression and with the rise of white supremacy and domestic terrorism, we've got to get organized, and we've got to fight back, and we've got to get members of Congress, especially Republicans, to support us.
Absolutely. These are all so important. But I know with the likes of Black women who are always on the front line and a cardinal at the helm, I'm sure we will find a way to make sure that every person have the opportunity to exercise their rights to vote. And as we exercise our rights to vote, we want to make sure that we're healthy enough to go out there and get it done. So what solutions have been put in place as to assure that the vaccines are distributed in our community?
Well, part of the COVID-19 package, the rescue package, was, and part of this bill I actually wrote with what we call the Tri-Caucus. It's the Black, Hispanic, Asian Pacific American, and Native American women who formed the Tri-Caucus. And what we did was we set aside and dedicated, funded, targeted to medically underserved communities and to Black and Brown communities, which means, and we haven't done this a lot in federal appropriations, where the money goes for specific targeted groups because they're disproportionately impacted. So we did that as it relates to testing, as it relates to the public education. We put funding and designated it for community-based organizations, nonprofit, faith-based organizations, so that they can hire and train trusted messengers to deliver these public health messages to why they should get the vaccine, what it means, and also to be able to ensure that there's access, because what we're learning is that it's not mainly now the hesitancy, vaccine hesitancy, because we all know what that's about, but we're pushing now on access so people can have access to the vaccine. So we put resources not only in this bill, but in the one we passed in December. And so the resources are there, it's accessing them and making sure that they're getting to our community. Finally, one thing we did do very recently is we made sure that, and thank goodness the Biden-Harris White House are on the same page. We were able to put resources directly into community health centers, which serve our communities more so and in a more culturally and linguistically appropriate manner than other public health institutions. Generally, you'd have to go through the state and the county, write the proposals. But what we did, we fast-tracked that. And so our community health centers, the federally qualified ones, should be getting resources very soon.
Yeah, I know here in California, they are, I think it's moving around. But I know in California, I think we have 18 and up, but I know there are some states that are still struggling with the age group, as a result, are still keeping some people out. How can we make sure, another thing, how can we make sure that the vaccine are getting into the arms, and you mentioned it briefly, of people of color, especially knowing our history? What are we doing about that? And you talk about the federal.
We're like we established in Oakland, for example, this is an example of FEMA, Vaccine Distribution Center, where people of color, Black and brown people live. But guess what? People from out of the county came. And so I think 40% of the vaccines were provided to probably white middle income people who came from outside of the county and got in. The issue is access. You had to make appointments through going online, right? Through the internet. A lot of people don't have access to internet. A lot of our seniors don't use technology. So we had to figure out ways, go door to door, knock on doors, do it like a campaign, take vaccines to where people live. So we have to be really creative in how we do this. Otherwise, we're seeing now all over the country that a lot of people are getting vaccinated, but it's not our people. And that's because of the infrastructure and the criteria. So we have to break down those barriers and structures so that people can go to, like, at my church, for example, we're doing a phenomenal job because we have a vaccine site. Black churches especially are able to do this through their nonprofits and able to work with their public health departments. So we're encouraging African-American churches to set up as vaccination centers. So we're trying to bring the vaccines to the people so it's not complicated and cumbersome and scary, quite frankly. For many people, it's very scary.
Yes, it sure is. Well, that is awesome. And I know that it seemed to be working around here in California with some of the churches that you talk about and some of these smaller health centers that are doing it. So we really appreciate the work you're doing. Also, I've created a challenge for people of color, and I'm sure you will support me on that, to ensure that we're all armed and vaccinated. I got my shot, and I know you got yours too, right? So,
Good.
so I'm going to ask you, everyone to stay tuned and make sure that you're armed and vaccinated. Look out for my 50K challenge coming to you soon. So please be sure and sign up. It is Women's History Month, and I can't let you go without
Hey,
asking, who is your shiro? Your shiro.
my mother, my late mother, my
Oh,
late mother is my shiro. My mother, when she went to deliver me, she needed a C-section. They wouldn't give her one because she was black. They wouldn't admit her into the hospital. And long story how she finally got in, but it was too late for a C-section. And my mother became unconscious. She almost died. They had to pull her into the emergency room, and they had to deliver me. They couldn't figure out what to do using forceps because it was much too late. So I barely got here into this world, barely had a chance to breathe, and my mother almost died. And
wow.
fast forward, my mother, she was one of the first 12 students to integrate the University of Texas at El Paso. Her name's Mildred Parrish Massey. She passed away 6 years ago. She was 90 years old, and she was such a remarkable woman. She was the first Black woman civilian working in Fort Bliss, Texas. She was just amazing. So she's my shiro. And then my political shiro is Shirley Chisholm, who mentored
Yeah.
me and got me into this.
Awesome. Awesome. I love it. I love all of that. No
Okay.
wonder you're such a powerful woman and you're here in this world for a reason and you are doing it. I'm loving watching you and I'm here, as you know, cheering you along and thanking you for all the wonderful things that you're doing. One more thing,
Thank
Harriet,
you.
tell me about the $20 bill. Some people think it's respectful. Some people think it's not respectful because we were fungible commodities using the same currency that was treating us. Why should she be on the $20 bill? What do you say?
Well, well, I say she and other Black women should be on currency, and I have the coin bill, which would allow for each state to put forth coins in 2022 with women on these coins, and so I can talk to you a little bit later about the coin bill. But I think, and I know the controversy around that, but I think we need to lift up Black women and Black women who have done so much to pave the way for you, for me, and others. And I understand the arguments and I understand the reasons, but I also know we have to tell our story and to have Harriet Tubman in your face every day. You got to learn about her. You got to know who she is. You got to know what she did. You got to try to pick up her legacy and her spirit. So, but that's debate. That's not, we all have our differences of opinion and we'll get there.
Absolutely. That's beautiful. That's what our currency
Mhm.
is supposed to do. The currency is supposed to be telling our history, and it should be telling our real history, which includes everyone, every culture, every race. So I think it's a great thing to have her on there. Our next segment is Girl Tribe. Girl Tribe, where women share guidance, mentorship, and support to young girls across the globe. Congresswoman Lee, I would love for you to be a part of our Girl Tribe segment. Our girl is here today from Jamaica, Marlene Campbell, all the way from Jamaica, West Indies. She will tell you a little bit about herself and ask you a question. Welcome, Marlene. Welcome to the Live with Lorna.
Thank you so much, Lorna. Thank you so much for inviting me to this show. And good evening, Congresswoman Lee. I'm excited to be here. And I'm happy to meet you in this fashion. I'm Marlene Campbell, as Lorna would have said. I am a student at the Northern Caribbean University, and she would have mentioned that I'm from Jamaica. I'm 19 years of age. I'm studying psychology and communication studies. And I'm also a recipient of the Ione Macpherson Scholarship that was recently issued to NCU students. Now, I'm so passionate about leadership, and I've been on this journey of leadership for about a year or two now. I recently went in for a position, but I was not elected, and so I went on to another one. And today is actually the election day, and so I'm waiting on the results. But just to speak to you about that, what advice would you give to young women who has aspirations for leadership or just interest in leadership, but they're afraid of the issues that women in leadership face? I want to know, what advice would you give to them, because you're a Black woman, and you would have excelled in this area. And so I'd love to hear your feedback as it relates to that.
Well, happy to meet you and congratulations. And you've already exhibited tremendous leadership ability, and you are a
Thank
leader.
you.
So you just be yourself. You're a Black woman. You're from JA. You're a Jamaican woman, and that's who you are.
Hmm.
And people and work in the community. I think, and for me personally, I got involved in politics because people recognized that I believed in them. I believed in public service, and I believed in helping, and I believed in helping change circumstances that gave rise to
Right.
poverty and to racism and sexism. And so just keep doing the work. And because you are a leader already, and just keep moving forward. Don't even blink. That's what my mother told me as a child. She said, "Can't, C-A-N-T, is not in the dictionary."
Right. Right. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate your feedback. I really do appreciate
Okay.
it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Congresswoman,
Hope to see
for
you when
the
I get. Okay, thank you. Nice seeing you, and hope I get to meet you when I get down to JA. I love Jamaica,
Definitely.
as
I'd
Lorna
love to
knows.
stay in touch with you.
That is just
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Marlene, good
Please
luck
do.
to
And
you with
Lorna,
your
let me
work.
just mention,
Pardon me?
Go ahead,
I
Congresswoman.
established Caribbean American Heritage Month. It's June. Yeah, Lorna, I just want to mention I established Caribbean American Heritage Month, which is June of every year. I did this like
Absolutely.
15 years ago. So hopefully one day we can celebrate in Jamaica in June, and I'll come down with Lorna.
That is so
Definitely.
Okay.
I'd
awesome.
love to be a part of that.
That is
Yeah,
great to
that
see.
would be great.
Congresswoman is a woman of the Caribbean, a woman of Africa. She is just this true Black woman. So you couldn't ask for a better person to be a part of your mentorship. So again, thank you,
Definitely.
Congresswoman, for joining us today.
Okay.
Marlene, thank you
Okay.
for coming.
Thank you.
Good luck to you. You are brilliant. You're smart. You're gonna do just fine. So continue what you're doing. And thank you very much for joining. And I will get to see you soon because, of course, you are a recipient of my sister, the scholarship program that I established on behalf of my sister at Northern Caribbean University. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of the work you're doing. So thank you very much for joining us today and
Thank you
enjoy.
so much, Miss Lorna. I really appreciate it and I appreciate the opportunity. And I just want to say to you, keep doing the work that you're doing. It is appreciated. Keep impacting the lives that you're impacting. And I look up to you, so thank you again for everything.
Thank you, my darling, and good luck and stay true to yourself and you're going to do just fine. So thank you and have a
Thank
good
you so
evening.
much.
Goodbye now. So now we're going to welcome Joselyn and Christine. They're going to tell us all about this period cup, something that I've never heard of before. So let's bring them on. Joselyn Dumas. Joselyn is actress, TV host, and humanitarian. Passionate about children and their developmental issues, Joselyn Dumas' career in film and television is secondary to the work she does supporting and advocating for youth. Ladies and gentlemen, Joselyn Dumas. Christine Garde Denning. Christine has devoted her life to caring for the poor and making the world a better place. Forbes magazine named Christine one of the 40 over 40 women who are reinventing, disrupting, and making an impact globally. Ladies and gentlemen, Christine Garde Denning. Welcome,
Hi.
ladies. It is so great to see you. I know you are in Ghana right now, Joselyn, right?
Yes,
What time is it there?
it's 10:20 p.m.
Okay, so we had some change in time, which is awesome. I'm glad we get some extra time, and it's good to have you. Thank you for taking the time out and to accept us this invitation this late at night. So I appreciate you.
Thank you for
And
having me.
Christina, it is so good to have you, and thank you for introducing us to your partner, Joselyn.
It's good to be here. Thank you.
I have never heard anything about this period poverty. But I do know that there are problems with young women and their menses and going to school and getting education. But you took it a little further. You're talking about women selling themselves, girls selling themselves in order to get money to take care of their menstrual hygiene. So tell us a little bit about the period cup and what's how you got started with it and how you got Joselyn involved. Christine.
Okay. So the way I got involved with this issue is I was working in Mozambique, and we were looking at education. We were helping the Ministry of Ed, and we were teaching teachers how to identify illiterate students and get them literate in 5 months. But in the course of the work, our partners on the ground began to talk to us about this fact that 96% of the girls were starting kindergarten and only 11% were ending up in secondary school. And you cannot build a nation without girls. And so we began to look into what are the reasons why girls were not going to school. And we understand that there's lots of reasons, but there was one reason that came up that felt very solvable, and it was menstruation. And so we started to get guidance from the world's leading researcher on the issue. Her name is Penelope Phillips Howard. She's out of Liverpool School. She has done a ton of studies that show the issue around menstruation, especially in rural Africa. And she also had a lot of studies that showed the menstrual cup, which is something I had never even heard of until her, and how the menstrual cup was the safest, greenest, most inexpensive product. And when I learned about it, and then I started to use it, I thought this could change the world. And so we began to focus specifically on introducing the menstrual cup into communities where girls can't afford pads, and then breaking taboos and stigma. And the cup itself lasts 10 years. So when a girl has it, she never has to buy another product for a decade, and that's a life changer. So we began to do the work, and we are really excited about it. We've watched each community that we're in. It works. It changes. Girls.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So tell me how you got this beautiful woman from Ghana, actress, TV personality, which is a perfect person, I think, to get the message out to that community. So welcome again, Joselyn, and tell us how you guys met and your humanitarian involvement with this period cup.
Okay, thank you. And hi, Christine. It's good to see you. We haven't spoken in quite a while now, but it's good to see you.
Good to see you.
So I think this started about 3 years ago. I have a foundation for children that I run, women and children in Ghana. And I also do something with climate change. And so I think 3 years ago, I was going to Bonn to speak on the Global Landscape Forum with regards to the environment and preserving the water bodies, like the sea and stuff like that. So I think my main focus was on plastic waste. And so I took a holistic approach on how all these things affect, especially the girl child. And so in the process, I had to narrate a story, create a narrative around, a fisher folk who have a daughter and a son, and obviously because of the plastic waste in the water bodies, the father could not go to fish and catch enough fishes to bring to the woman, to the wife, to sort of grill and sell for the upkeep of the house. So when that happens, one child would have to drop out of school, and it's always the girl child that drops out of school. So it becomes like a vicious cycle of, so now the girl child drops out of school, and then she has to join her mother in the marketplace. She now has to start working to fend for herself, because then obviously there's not enough income coming in, since the means of income being like fishing is kind of like, destroyed by plastic waste. So now she in turn now starts, getting involved in bad company. She meets a guy who promises her that I'm going to buy you everything, including your sanitary products and everything, because they can't afford it, basically. And then obviously the guy also promises to send her back to school, and then now she falls into bad hands, bad company, and that's her future right there. It's gone, really.
Yeah.
So in the process, I also realized that in Ghana, we have a lot of period poverty issues here, where there's a lot of taboo, like Christine said in the beginning. There's certain people in certain parts of Ghana that cannot cross a river or a water body to go to school, because the river is a deity, and so when you have your menses, you can't cross the river. And there's so many things, that the boys will laugh at them. Some of them will soil themselves in class. Some of them are sick. They can't afford hygienic stuff for their menses. And so they miss 5 or 6 days of class. So they come back and they're lagging behind. And so then the boys are moving forward and they're leaving the girls behind. So I was thinking of how, apart from obviously the plastic waste issue, which is a big global issue, that is where I got that thought of, oh my God, what can I do to sort of help these children, these girl children? And obviously I also shot a movie that featured a street hawker. And I remember one night we went to shoot the movie and they were so happy to have the camera crew, the TV people around. And I saw one girl with a plastic bag, tied around her waist, and then she had a cloth over herself. So I was curious because I was playing one of them. So I had to talk to them and sort of come down to their level. And I asked her, I said, why do you have this plastic thing? She's like, oh, I'm on menses and I don't have enough money to buy soap to wash my cloth in the morning. And so I'm using this plastic thing just in case, I bleed. It's just going to go over the plastic bag or plastic sheets that she has so that my cloth is not going to be soiled and I can use that to go and sell in the morning. And I was thinking, oh my God, how many sanitary towels can I give these children or these girls in a month, in a year, in years? And then I think my friend and I were going online, researching on what we can do to help. And then Christine and Could You Cup came up. And we're like, oh my God, what is this? So we read about it and then we quickly contacted Christine.
I feel like Joselyn's been able to leverage her influence for good because people love her, but she's also using it. And so she can be a human testimony to say it works and it's healthy.
Beautiful. But I heard they also use it a lot in Europe. But another question that I wanted to ask is, do you have the cup with you? Because I wanted you to show the cup. Many of these things about women, this is Women's History Month. So I thought it was a perfect opportunity to do this. A lot of these things are like taboo. And we want to make it that it is not. It is just a part of our natural humanness and a normal physiological process that women go through. And it should be looked at as normal. And as Hillary Clinton once says, woman's right is human rights, woman right, and menstrual right. All of these things are human rights. So let's see it. Let's look at it and see how we can do. Can you kind of try to do a little demonstration?
Yes,
because, of course, contraception, we have diaphragms, but this is deeper. It appears it's a little deeper.
So this is what it looks like. And it's very soft. It's medical grade silicone. And so you can fold it and shape it and make it very small. So you can insert it. It's a little bit the size of a tampon at this point. And then you literally insert it.
And then it opens.
It opens.
Right.
It catches the blood. The beautiful thing is that air doesn't touch it. It doesn't have a smell. You don't get bacteria. And here's what is amazing about it. There's a misperception out there that girls in Africa, if they don't have good water, should not use it. But that's not true. That's exactly why they should use it. And here's why. As long as they have clean hands, which every community before a girl goes to school, even if her mother had to walk and start a fire and boil water over an open fire, her daughter will have clean hands. If she has clean hands and she inserts it, she can be in a latrine 12 hours later. All she has to do is empty it, reinsert right there. She doesn't even need to rinse it. Now, you can rinse it, but you don't have to. And then you keep it in up to 12 hours, empty it again. At the end of your cycle, all you do is boil it for 3 to 5 minutes, and then you store it in a cotton carrying bag. And this is one of them. And our bags are made locally in every community. So in Ghana, for instance, we partner with local NGOs in every country, and marginalized women will make the bags. We pay them 50 cents per bag, which you can make a lot of bags. And a lot of the women we're working with, it sets them up economically. Some of them start sewing businesses. And this particular bag is made from our partner in Uganda called Rahab. And it is actually a nonprofit that is working with little girls ages 7 to 17 who have been sex trafficked. And they're trying to get out of the industry and have a whole life. And so this is part of their program where they make the bags that our cups are made in America.
So thank you, ladies. Thank you so much for taking the time out to educate me and to educate my audience. And I am going to be taking this to Malawi, as I said, and I'm coming to see you soon in Jocelyn, in Ghana. You know, I was there a couple of years ago. I was crowned Queen Mother in Ghana, Central Region. So I want to take this up to all my girls in the Central Region. So
come and let's do this together.
Thank you so much. This has been very enlightening. And we are going to try to continue to do the best we can to make sure that every young girl have access to what they need in order that they can be the best they can, be their truest self. So again, thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My next guest on Live with Lorna is Tonya Winfield. Tonya is a Renaissance woman in every sense of the word. Mother of twins, Ariel and David II, and stepmother to Lauren Chanel. She's also the wife of 32 years and business partner of National Baseball Hall of Fame legend, Dave Winfield. Tonya was born and raised in New Orleans, Louisiana, and graduated from the University of New Orleans with a degree in political science. She's worked for the District Attorney's Office in New Orleans, Xerox Corporation, Control Data Corporation, always a shining performer. Featured in Success Magazine with the likes of Lee Iacocca for her success as the #1 sales executive. Tonya had a long and successful career in corporate America before transitioning into pursuing her passion for luxury real estate and fine jewelry. Now her highly successful partnership with Naghan Jewels allows her to bring her marketing and sales expertise to this exceptional global partnership, giving her clients exclusive access to one of the premier jewelry manufacturers in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, my friend, Tonya Winfield.
Hi, Lorna. Thank you for having me.
Welcome.
So good to see you.
Likewise. Welcome to Live with Lorna. Oh my goodness. I've been watching you and social media and all the awesome work. I get your cards all the time. So, thank you for keeping in touch and staying. I really consider you a friend because you're always giving me the shout out. So I appreciate that. So welcome. And you see you're doing wonderful things with your jewelry. How's that going? Tell us a little bit about your jewelry, and I hope I pronounce it properly. What is the name of your company?
It's actually called Nagam.
Madame.
Nagaam, Nagam Jewels.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And actually, Nagam, and first of all, thank you for having me, Lauren. It's always good to see you, and I'm so proud of all the amazing work you're doing.
Thank you.
But I tell you, Nagam is a great company. We've been together a few years now. They are a family-owned business, been in the business over 50 years, supplying some of the major jewelry houses in the world with precious stones and jewelry that they've actually made for them. Nice. So the meat and potatoes of their business is manufacturing and supplying to wholesale, as a wholesaler supplying to jewelry houses. But our partnership has developed because they really wanted to get into some direct-to-consumer areas, and that's where we have come together in partnership, and we do amazing jewelry trunk shows around the world, and it's been really a lot of fun because I was with another jeweler before then, and came over to Nagam 3 years ago now. Time is flying.
Nice. I like the thought about the Renaissance woman, yes. Mother of twins. How are those kids doing? I guess they're all grown up now.
They're all grown up, but they're still my babies. They're 26, and they're the joy of my life. And we're very close. Both of them are in the house at the moment. One of them just moved back from New York, so he's camping here for about a month and a half while he gets his apartment ready. And the other is my daughter. She's been here for a year and not expecting that. She expected to land here from New York left Morgan Stanley to start her own tech company. So she's in the throes of getting that going. So it's
Nice.
exciting time watching them.
Beautiful, beautiful. I'm hoping that we're going to talk a little bit about your daughter some more, Ariel, and see what she's doing and see how we can help to support and push our young people forward who has that entrepreneurial spirit. So I'm excited about that. So tell me about how do you feel about with all this COVID going on and we're locked up? How is that affecting your business?
It affected it a great deal. Because the heart of what we're doing on the direct to consumer side was our trunk shows. Mm-hmm. So obviously we couldn't do those anymore. So we really had to take a step back and kind of figure out what is the best way now to reach our customer and make it a safe experience, but also experience that they would enjoy. So we decided to develop our website. We had never had a website with an e-commerce element to it. It was always just a website to display some of the beautiful pieces that we had designed and were showing around the world. So we decided to do an e-commerce site where our customers could actually go on and purchase the product. And then over the holidays, which as you know, is the biggest time for jewelers, we did some private showings. We had some of our clients gather their girlfriends, and we brought in other designers like Dolce & Gabbana and Hermes and Nagam and made it a total experience for them. And that was wildly successful.
Nice, nice. So, for a lot of us, and I don't know about you, but I know I practically lived on the airplane for the past couple of years prior to COVID. I was always traveling all over the world and all over the place. And COVID kind of quieted me down and gave me the opportunity to stay at home, rethink, and reimagine how we're going to live and how we're going to do things. And I find it actually quite fulfilling. How about you? Do you find that even though you had to reimagine that the way you work, did you enjoy that space of being at home, or was it too cluttered with family? How did that work for you?
I'm with you, Lorna. At first I was like, wait a minute. This is not going to work for me because like you, I am always in the air. I'm always in an airport. I travel a lot, but I enjoy traveling. I like traveling the world. I'm never in one place more than 3 weeks. It's just the lifestyle that I have that I've always enjoyed. But with COVID shutting everything down, I'm actually loving this. I hate to say it, but it really got us a chance to come together as a family because we hadn't spent time like this around each other in many, many years. And when we were all together, everybody was busy going their different ways. So this is the first time my husband and I, who have been married 34 years, have been around each other this long. So it's been a new experience that we are actually loving. And I'm not looking forward, I'll tell you this, to getting back into the rat race of the traveling.
Wow.
I do want to start traveling international again on my vacations, but very selective.
I get you. I feel it. I'm really enjoying staying home and getting to learn more about me and creating new ways and doing things. It has not slowed me down, that's for sure. I find myself busier and getting more done than ever before. And by the way, I had you at 32 years of marriage and you've said 34. So I'm going to have to change that introduction of yours.
We just had an anniversary. So,
so with your jewelry, should women be feeling a certain way when they put your jewelry on? And what kind of feel are you expecting or want women to feel when they wear your jewelry?
Well, I tell women, first of all, I don't care what kind of jewelry you have, wear it. Wear it. And because so many of us buy special pieces and we save them for special occasions. No. The special occasion is you.
That's right.
So wear your jewelry. And I think everyone should pick pieces that speak to them in some way. These studs are my go-to. I love them. They go with everything. I wear them all the time. But if you have necklaces, bracelets, rings, I say stack them up. more is better. And wear your jewelry. It should make you feel good. It should make you excited to just be.
Nice, nice. You know, I mentioned in your introduction that you've been married. You said for 34 years to a very famous man, Dave Winfield, who is an Hall of Famer. And you also, that I would imagine, give you a platform to work in terms of people that you have more access to people and to things. How is that? How have you used that to help others or to help even, to change the world in your own way? What are you doing in terms of some of the work that you're out there doing with people that are probably in need, or your friends, charities, or, helping to develop young people? What are some of the things that you're doing or you're into?
Well, I'll tell you, giving back has been an integral part of my life as well as my husband's life. When we met, one of the things that I didn't know anything about baseball, so that wasn't really kind of impressive to me. What impressed me most about him was his giving spirit. He had a foundation, and one of the first professional athletes to actually create a foundation. And in fact, helped Arthur Ashe and Martina Navratilova and Derek Jeter and many others start their own foundations. So that has always been a part of who I am and who we are as a couple. And many of those organizations that we supported back then through our foundation, we still continue to support. For me, Cedars-Sinai Hospital has always been a great part of, me trying to give back and help, especially in terms of children's initiatives. We raised millions of dollars for them for their genetic birth defects unit. And anything dealing with women and children, you've got my full attention. So even though our foundation, we wound up finishing it a few years ago. It's been more than a few years ago now. We now support our friends in their endeavors. So it's just a part of our DNA, and we enjoy doing it.
Absolutely. It's Women's History Month.
Yeah.
And so we are celebrating women, of course, women like you, and that's why I invited you this month. Who is your shero?
Oh, it's not as cliche as to say our mothers, but it's true. My mother, she is no longer with us. She passed about, now I can't believe it'll be 5 years in August. And that was a big blow to our family. She was quite the woman, and she was a force to be reckoned with. But if I were going to say a historical figure, I would say Shirley Chisholm. She was someone who I really always admired, and I think that came from watching my mother, I was born and raised in New Orleans, and my mother was very politically active. So I saw at a young age the influence that she had on electing the governor at the time twice, and as well as the first Black mayor, Ernest Dutch Morial, who was in office for 2 terms, and then Sidney Bartholomew, who was in office, a Black man, 2 terms, and then Dutch's son, Mark Morial, who we all know, came after that. So for me, Shirley Chisholm, I was maybe 15 years old when she first ran for president.
Wow.
So that, and that's how my mother always told my sister and I, my 2 brothers, we believed truly that we could be anything and do anything. So when I saw her running, for president, I was like, well, of course. It didn't seem so unusual at the time. So she was a hero of mine. And, she was an advocate for early education and child welfare policies. And I just, and I know she represented, was elected to Congress and represented
the first woman in Congress.
Yes, for 14 years. So she was incredible to me. I remember a slogan, and I had to look it up again because I wanted to make sure I got it right. But she had her slogan for her campaign was "Unbought and Unbossed."
Absolutely.
And I loved that. I love that. And it just goes to the strength of a woman and what she can do when she sets her mind to it. and decides
Absolutely.
that there are no limitations and no boundaries.
That,
So she was my historical figure that I really looked up to.
that's beautiful. I go with you. My mom, I lost her 8 years ago, and my favorite sister and best friend, I'm celebrating her life. 10 years ago, I lost her. So those are the two. But then I have, I'm on a roll now and on a campaign for Harriet Tubman, and Harriet Tubman to be on that $20 bill. And there are a lot of people, there's a controversy in terms of her being on the $20 bill. Some of people that look like you and me, they're saying it's an insult. It's not a compliment to have her on the bill because she was bought and sold with that same currency. What are your thoughts on that?
Listen, I think everybody's entitled to their opinion on that. I don't look at it as an insult to her. This was a woman who represented so much and worked so hard for people who looked like me and you. And I believe America is ready. I believe America wants her on the currency. And I think it's important that our currency represent the diversity of our country. And I can't think of a better person to replace Andrew Jackson. Being a seventh president, he was a Tennessee plantation slave owner.
Mm-hmm.
And, even signed the Indian Removal Act.
Exactly.
So, and ran these Native Americans off of their lands. So
Absolutely.
I think she's the perfect person to be on the $20 bill. And I think we should celebrate her and other historical Black women in other ways too. So
Yes.
I am all for her being on the $20 bill, and I hope it happens now.
Well, I hope so too. Actually, so we're celebrating a lot of women, like I said, including you. We're celebrating all those women: Shirley Chisholm, Harriet Tubman, Sojourner Truth, Ida B. Wells, all these beautiful women. We're celebrating the historical ones and the Hillary Clinton and the ones that are here today. So we continue to do that. What happened to your political aspiration? Political science major, you were in the mayor's office, your mommy was all of that, and she's the person that you admired. What happened?
I'll tell you what happened. I graduated college very young. I was 20 years old. I was getting ready to go to law school. And my mom was very good friends with Harry Connick Sr., who was the DA at the time in New Orleans. And he kept telling my mom, Louise, Tonya should not go to law school. She's too young. I think she needs to take a break and put the brakes on this. And I was in a hurry. So he said, well, I tell you what, I'll make a deal with you. Come work for me for 1 year. We'll delay your interest in the law school. Work for me 1 year. If you want to decide this is for you, then you'll go. If not, you haven't lost anything. So after some thinking, because I was kind of stubborn at that time, I said, well, you know what, maybe that's a good idea. And so I did go to work for him, and I worked for him. I worked in the DA's office in the child support division, which was probably the worst place you could put me because I'm a bleeding heart. And everybody I saw, I was, impacted greatly by these young children affected by, all the system that they were caught in, that they really couldn't do anything about. And at the end of that year, I had a meeting with him, and I went in already prepared to say, I did it. I do love this. And the first question out of his mouth was, so what do you think? How'd it go? And I broke down in tears. I said, this is just not what I thought it was. I don't want to do this. And he said, well, that's the good news. At least you know before you waste all these years in law school. So I wound up working for Xerox Corporation. And that was a great decision. It was a great decision for me.
Good. So no regrets.
No regrets.
That's awesome. So going back a little bit, I think I have a few more minutes. So tell me a little bit about your life, if you want to share as much as you want to share. How did you meet your husband? How did that came about? You've been for 34 years. Congratulations again. How did that happen?
Actually, I had just moved to Los Angeles to work for, I had left Xerox after 2 years because I wanted to learn about computers. So I left to work for a company in California, Los Angeles, Control Data Corporation. and I had been out here a few months. My husband came out here to play in the World Series. He was with the Yankees to play against the Dodgers. And the team was staying in the hotel that I was living in, that my company had put me in when I moved out here. And so we met was having lunch there on that day in the restaurant in the hotel with a colleague from my office. And David was having lunch in the restaurant with a pitcher on his team. Tell you how small the world is. My colleague sees them and realizes that the guy that David is having lunch with was his college roommate. And they went into this whole brother and, fest of, the kumbayas. And I kept thinking, well, who's the cute guy with him? And so David was very cool. He just said hello and pleasantries, and he left because he said he had to play a game. And a few nights later, my friend called me and said, Dave Winfield wants your phone number. And the rest is history.
Wow, beautiful, beautiful. Congratulations.
Yes. But we dated, Lorna, 6 years, long distance.
Oh, wow.
I wasn't
he was not living here. He just came here. He was not living here.
I was still living here in Los Angeles. He was in New York. And everybody was like, why don't you move? And I said, why don't you all tell him to move? Why should I give up my career? Nobody's asking him to give up his career.
There we go.
I didn't. Even after our first year of marriage.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. That is awesome. That is awesome. Okay, so we're talking about COVID time. We're Black women and in our Black communities, we have suffered the most in terms of not just jobs, but debts. And, we're the ones that take care of the family when everything goes wrong. We're the first one to get hit. What do you say to women that may be having some challenges right now as we face this pandemic? And with the vaccination, did you get vaccinated?
And
I'll
say the second part of your question. I'm sorry, first. Mm-hmm. Yes, I did get vaccinated.
Okay.
And I recommend that everybody gets their vaccine. When it's your time, you should get it. We're all in this together, and it's going to take all of us to get out of it, because I firmly believe that this is the last pandemic we're going to see, and we've got to figure out how to do this, and take care of each other. I think if we had that attitude in the beginning of this situation, we would be much further along in healing the situation and being out of it. But for the women who are and yes, you're right. Women are the ones who are mostly affected by this, because many of them have had to drop out of the workforce to take care of their families, and they're trying to juggle children at home, do their work if they still can keep a job from home, and take care of household. And usually they are the last on the list of what they focus on, taking care of themselves. So I have so much respect for working women with children, women who've had to come out and take care of the family. But I just want them to know that they're not alone. There's so many women like that who are trying to make it happen every day, and to stay strong, but also take care of yourself. You can be a better parent if you take care of yourself. You can take care of those little ones better. You can take care of a family better. You can take care of everyone else better if you take care of yourself. So I really hope that those women take a little time. I don't care if it's just going in a closet and doing a little meditation, or trying to eat a little better every day, or take a walk around the block, whatever it is, try to incorporate it in your lives, because you are important. You matter. If you go down, a lot goes down with you.
That's right. The women go down, then the country and the world goes down. I mean, I couldn't ask for better closure. Well, Tonya, it was really great to have you. I mean, this has been a great time spending with you and learning a little bit more about you and what you're doing. Your jewelry is really taken off, and that's something that you really enjoy doing. And I know that the ladies will enjoy it too. So tell me, where can we find you? Where can we find the jewelry? How can we get it?
Well, they can go online at nigam.com, and it's spelled NIGAAM.com. Nigam.com. So you can see everything from beautiful rings and earrings and what we call our Oscar pieces, and your everyday wear as well. So please take a visit and let us hear from you what you think about it.
Great. Thank you so much for joining me at Live with Lorna. It was a pleasure having you. And I look forward to having your daughter next month for Financial Literacy Month. So take care. Be well.
Thank you so much, Lorna. It's been great talking with you, and thank you for having me.
Thank you. Goodbye. Our next segment is Lean In with Lorna. It's also 1 year anniversary of Breonna Taylor's death. Although her family will receive $12 million in settlement, they still have not yet received justice. Let's continue to call her name, Breonna Taylor. A new legislation in Georgia would put a halt on souls to the poll by introducing a bill that eliminates all early voting on Sundays. It is documented that people of color largely use early voting options on the weekends. So call your congressperson and continue to speak up. Your voice is your vote is your voice. So make some noise and get into good trouble. In closing, we start off this segment with a download of phenomenal women. And as you could see, our guests were all that and more. I'd like to end this segment with a dedication to some women in my life. My mom, who I lost to Alzheimer's, and my sister and best friend, who I lost to colon cancer. Thank you, sis, for leaving me our little phenom to call me Auntie Mama. Lauren, you are a blessing from God. I love you. I also want to say hello to my friends who've been along the journey with me. Odette Dyer, Angelique Spencer, Arlene Martin, Rafi Lunsford, and Dr. Theon Garden. These are phenomenal women. I love you guys. To all my guests today, and to all of those of you who tuned in to Live with Lorna, thank you. Please stay safe and follow the science. Get vaccinated and continue to wear your mask. At this time, I want to share with you a tribute to a mighty human being, Vernon Jordan Jr. The ascension of a mighty human being, a leader for all people. Mr. Vernon Jordan was the epitome of a leader. Something about him that stood out to me. A child of the South in the time of segregation, experiencing all that racism entailed. But he did not bow down to the pressure. Instead, it inspired both he and his mom to find solution for advancement. Jordan went on to become a lawyer in the firm that desegregated the University of Georgia with the admission of 2 African-American students, the late Dr. Hamilton Holmes and journalist Charlene Untergall. His successful work in civil rights as executive director of the United Negro College Fund and president of the National Urban League earned him the vitriol of the right-wing haters who made an assassination attempt on his life. A man whose seat at the table of financial prosperity on Wall Street gave voice to all those not being heard before. A friend, mentor, and confidant to many leaders of corporations. My longtime admiration for Mr. Jordan, to my awe, became a reality when I met him during the tenure on the President's Advisory Committee with Obama White House. I was struck by his external and internal beauty, confidence, and generosity. I met this icon, and instead of this encounter making me nervous, Mr. Jordan put me at ease with a focused, inclusive, and enlightening conversation. He became a mentor and friend. Much of the information he shared with me, I continue to pass it on today to the young people that I mentor. Mr. Jordan was straightforward, loyal, full of wisdom, and a person who opened doors to connection that could further one's aspirational path. Though in my belief he's gone too soon, his trip home has left abundant footprints to follow. It has given us a clear path of what living as a mighty man must be. We must pick up the torch as leaders, best friends, door opener, and trusted keepers of a legacy still in need of guarding. During a keynote address he gave to the National Urban League Conference in 2010, he said, "Black people today, for all our righteous anger and forceful dissent,
still believe in the American dream, and we must, in this year,
remind a forgetting nation that this land
is our land too. This nation, too often, is sprinkled with our sweat, watered with our tears, and fertilized with our blood. And so it is Black people. Our belief in the ideals of American democracy can help this nation overcome its crisis of spirit, hope,
and enter a new era." Vernon E. Jordan. I for sure, like so many of his mentees, will miss him. I am pledging today in his honor that I am dedicated to being one of his legacy torchbearers.